Hi, my name is Santiago Alvarez, and I'm a student at Grand Canyon University, and I wanted to go over some of the dispositions that GCU has identified for educators. The first one is high expectations. I always remember kind of a quote that was said at a training when talking about expectations, and it's about the problem not being that we set the bar too high and the students don't reach it. It's that we set it too low and then they attain it. So I think sometimes we're afraid to set high expectations for our students, but I think it's important that we have reasonable goals for them and not think that they're not capable of doing their best. So I think in my classroom we always do kind of individual goals for each student, and I tend to really set the bar high for them as well. The next one is diversity. Students come from so many different backgrounds, some disadvantaged. I work at a school where it's over 90% free lunch. So it's very important for the students to see all the diversity that there is in their classroom. And I always kind of bring up when we're reading a story and try to connect it to their traditions and cultures and see all the other different cultures and traditions that our classroom has as well. Fairness. I fight for my students on a daily basis. And I talk about kind of fairness in different ways. One thing I always kind of tend to talk with my district about is, fairness in the common formative assessments that they have for students, and where sometimes I think that the test that they make is not really fair to the student because it may be material we haven't gone over yet. And I'm always telling them, try your best when they're taking these tests, but I think as a teacher it's important to let them know that they need to take the test seriously, and I will be fighting for them, and whatever score they get, it's going to be a fair representation of what their skills are. Professional conduct is another very important one. I'm a union representative for my school, so it's very important for me to discuss with my staff their professional conduct that they should be exhibiting on the playground, in the classroom, anywhere they are. Because I always tell them, students are watching you, parents are watching you, everyone on campus is watching you. So it's important to be that model for all members of our community. And so we must conduct ourselves in a nice and professional way. And always kind of act and treat, and the way you speak to people is super important as well. Reflection, I think that's one where I think I need to work a little bit harder on. I want to be a better teacher, but at times I don't take the time out to reflect. Sometimes I kind of give my excuse that I'm a little too busy, I need to move on to the next thing, but I need to be able to slow down and say, hey, did this go well, did it not go well, and kind of assess myself more on a daily basis. And I think that's a very important goal for myself, so I can get that valuable feedback. And I think another thing that I wanted to do this year was kind of get teachers in my classroom so they can observe me as well, so I can get that kind of feedback and reflect on my own teaching as well. So that's something definitely I want to work on. Curiosity. This is probably one of my favorite things as an educator, is bringing out the curiosity in students. I like to do a lot of project-based learning and kind of ask students questions, and then they ask me back, and I think it leads to some great discussions where the students, I enjoy when students ask questions and kind of related to the content that we're doing, because it does build up their curiosity and they want to learn more. And sometimes I'll stop them at a specific question, I'll have them investigate as a team. Honesty is another important disposition. I think that's the best way you could build relationships with students. Whenever I have a change in schedule or agenda, I'm very honest with the students, and I say, hey, this is what's going on in our day, I have to change it for this reason. And they kind of like to hear that, and they feel like they're a part of the group, part of the classroom, where they, it builds a nice relationship, because, they come up to me sometimes, they'll say, I appreciate you telling us what's going on, and, not kind of hiding it from us. So I think honesty is very important. Compassion and advocacy, showing students that you care and that you're on their side is kind of a must in order to do this effectively. I think it's important to get to know your students and sharing their interests. I'll bring up that, I play video games, or I listen to music or watch sports. And they always kind of like to hang back during their recess or even their lunch and want to talk a little bit more with me. So I think that's super important, and that really gets the students talking. Dedication, the last disposition, I'd like to pride myself a lot with showing up to work on time and daily. And the first thing I always tell the students on the first day of school is I will try to be here every single day. And when I'm here and you guys, the students, are in the classroom, I will always be working around. I will never sit at my desk grading papers or doing paperwork. When the students are in the class, I'm always walking around. And I think they really appreciate that, to see that I'm always there for them and I'm dedicated to their learning. Some of the things I think that as educators, I work in California, so California has its own standards for a teaching profession, and it's one that admin uses for our evaluations. And I think that these standards can really be a guide to the way teachers can present themselves at the school. So there's a couple of them, like creating and maintaining effective environments and engaging and supporting all student learners are very important. And I think by looking at those, we can become better educators. And these dispositions as well, we can look at them and be successful. Thank you.